My name's Peter Ettridge. I'm a Product Development Manager at Amcor Flexibles. And today we're in Amcor Flexibles Ledbury. Amcor are a global packaging company making packaging for all sorts of products, or food products, pharmaceuticals, medical. Flexible packaging materials are typically materials that we would say below maybe 150 microns thick, and 80% of them are typically monomaterials of polyethylene and polypropylene. And the materials we have on the desk in front of us are good examples of the kind of products that we're making here at Amcor. But I think in the first instance, we're striving to make materials designed for recycling in the first place. And increasingly, we're doing that with several materials. Firstly, by reducing carbon footprint, reducing the number of layers, making them simpler structures with maybe some higher tech barrier materials in there to get the shelf life. The circular economy really means trying to link up what we do through the great stuff that packaging is doing, all the way through its supply chain, through to the consumer, and then dealing with it efficiently at the end of life, so you can have another life again, so you can close the loop. I think it might be one step too far to expect consumers to sort flexible packaging into its different components. I can do that because I'm an expert. I've been working in the industry for years, but that's a bit too much of a stretch for a consumer. So I think to expect a consumer, though, maybe just to segregate just the flexible materials by themselves, I think maybe that is something that could be done. Well, I would say some of the packaging could be redesigned and could be improved, but actually it's the whole supply chain, and it's having a whole cradle-to-cradle thinking to extract the value of this resource, because there is no such thing as waste. There's just unused resource. We have what we have. Is that it's not optimized? It's not, it doesn't fit together properly. It's not coherent. But to design complete cradle-to-cradle coherent systems, that's great.
Okay, well, my name's Kevin Vyse. I work for Marks & Spencer. I'm the Senior Packaging Technologist in the food group. Well, as you probably are aware, Marks & Spencer consider themselves to be at the top end of the market, so the food quality that we produce has to be really good. We are, however, a modern supermarket, and therefore we have distribution chains. We have to get food from one place to another, and therefore packaging plays a very important role in doing that. We strive to use the least possible packaging to get the most possible life out of food. Not always possible, because some of the supply chains are quite brutal and quite robust. It's good to remember that no consumer ever recycles. All they ever do is collect for the recycler. And therefore, it's understanding the material. So if it's cardboard, people get it. They know cardboard goes in cardboard bin. If it's glass, it goes in glass bin. If it's metal, it goes in metal bin. Our challenge has been plastic. It's because plastic has always given us a bit of a disruptor. Is it not all plastic goes in the bin to be collected? And what we need to do is strive to get to that plastic to a place that glass and metal and board have got to. Examples of where that's successful, I think, by using a single material like polyester, you can get somewhere towards that, and we know that the collection rates of clear polyester are very much better than coloured materials. Why do we use coloured materials? That has to be a challenging question we need to answer. If we want coloured materials, let's put a collection process in that works and a recycling process that works. Can we make one material across all plastic in packaging? That's another challenge, so that the consumer doesn't have to think about it too much. And it adds then value to the supply chain, because all plastic collectors will get the same material. If you ask the customer to sort, you might be asking them to do too much. It's very easy to go to a store and buy food. You're buying the food, you're not buying the pack. You never go to a store and say, I'm going to buy a bottle. You buy the contents. So we've been quite cheeky at the back end and saying, oh, by the way, you're going to have to think about what you now do with that bottle, because that could or could not be recyclable. Actually, why should they have to worry about it? If it's an asset we want back, let's make it easy to get it back. And therefore, standardising some materials might not be a bad way of doing that. So, for instance, the milk bottle industry, the milk bottle is a pretty standard item. And for quite a number of years, we have worked with all of our competitors to try and standardise that process, because we can get that material back en masse. and then we can recycle the material back into the bottles. So we've shown it can work through the Dairy Council. Why can't it work in other areas? In terms of or small format products that we want to improve, I think one of the big target areas is pouches. Pouches have done a fabulous job at reducing weight in packaging. They are very efficient. They have high barriers, so they keep the food fresher. The difficulty is they're made of laminations, and those laminations are almost impossible to separate, so it's an unrecyclable pack as we stand. So one of our projects at the moment is to find high barrier products, or sachet products, that are actually ready for recycling. Second part is actually the lighter weight films, typically found on root crops, so carrots, and parsnips and potatoes. Those materials get wasted and lost in the supply chain after customer because they're just flimsy and they can't be found. And the machinery that is at the waste recycling plants can't find it. So we've said there is a possible solution here, but only for this area, is if we are collecting the waste content of those, so potato peelings, carrot peelings and so on, putting them in a wet waste, why don't we ask that the bag itself goes in with it as a part of the process? So it then gets back through to anaerobic digestion. The question of coffee cups, very, very big question right now. It's in the media everywhere. There is the Square Mile Challenge going on as we speak down in London to return coffee cups to the waste stream. They are technically recyclable. It's just that there aren't that many people doing it. So currently Simply Cups are doing the recycling on the Square Mile Challenge. There has never been a value seen in those cups. Nobody's actually thought that it's worth doing. I think with the publicity, with people stepping up to the challenge, they've said, okay, we may be able to get some revenue stream by making new materials from those coffee cups we recycle. Compostability in coffee cups is a bit of a strange one, because actually what you are encouraging people is to be ignorant of the fact that this could be recycled. And if you say it's compostable, that gives permission to drop it anywhere. So I would advocate not making compostable coffee cups. I think there's a far better value in having that paper and board back, because that material is actually not infinite recyclable, but it certainly can be recycled 6 or 7 times. So it saves me cutting down more trees. If I have a compostable cup, I have just basically short-circuited to landfill. And as I say, it breeds bad habits. Because how are you going to know whether you've got a compostable cup or whether you haven't? And even if it's got it on it, will you read it to say, oh, that's fine, I can be responsible here and throw it into the environment? I think it's the wrong place. And particularly as it's a food service product, which is actually by nature here now gone.
PET liner, so that can be recycled with it. But the trouble is they don't know. And although you may put a PET liner sleeve on it, the people at the MRFs treat that like it's a PVC. So until everybody's doing it, then you've still got the problem. And it's a lot of recycling's like that, is that we might do all the right things, but if one person does the wrong thing, you're going to end up actually delaying everything.